Hello, it's your friendly neighborhood host, JT Wheatley, back for another episode of the History of Comics podcast, as we take a break between seasons for another run of the classics, this time with one of my all-time favorites, Bone, by Jeff Smith. Bone is a fantasy series that ran from 1991 to 2004, independently published and created by Jeff Smith, in which basically the Bone brothers, Phone Bone, Phony Bone, and Smiley Bone, find themselves after being run out of their hometown into a valley that's filled with rat creatures, dragons, and a mysterious prophecy that they may or may not be involved in. Soon enough, hilarity and high fantasy ensue, and what can best be described as, what if the Looney Tunes walked into Lord of the Rings? That's literally what this is, as the Bone brothers are essentially practically cartoon characters in the comic book, whereas the rest of the Valley characters are full-on fantasy involving princesses and so forth. There's a lot of great hilarity and humor. I mean, probably one of the best stories in this 55-issue arc is The Great Cow Race, which is drop-dead hilarious, especially when Phony Bone, who's like the con man of the brothers, is always trying to scheme a way to win, make money, and of course it always seems to blow up in his face, and that story is drop-dead hilarious, but also great moments of drama. Not every character makes it to the end of this series, and it's just a great fantasy series in general. It's one of my all-time favorites, and you can actually get the entire series for a pretty good value at trade for like $30 on Amazon and most sellers. And of course, it's in black and white, and also the colorized edition. But I prefer the original black and white because that was meant to be done. But Jeff Smith did oversee the colorization. So if you want to check out either one, they're great. But this is in my top 5 of my all-time favorite comic stories. So yes, this week on the edition of the classics, check out Bone by Jeff Smith, a true classic. And now it is January 7th, 2020. Time for my favorite comic book of the week. Monstrous Talk Stories, #1 by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda, which is a neat little short fantasy story that takes place in a refugees camp, where we hear the story from a young fox child named Kippa about her past trying to help her younger sister and her family during hard times. Even though this is actually the first time I ever read Monsters, by all accounts, is one of the best fantasy series that come out in recent years in comics. It was a recent Eisner Award winner back in 2018. But this is a nice jumping off point that it gets into this small personal story that's really tragic and heartwarming about Kippa just trying to be a good sister to her and also a good daughter to her parents. But they can't. Unfortunately, they're too young to understand that some things you just can't fix, and they can sometimes even make things worse. Lou does a wonderful job with the characters, makes it easily accessible, and also Takeda's art is gorgeous with a great fantasy feel, and honestly reminds me of the great Final Fantasy concept and box art that comes with those classic video games. That's what it honestly reminds me of. It has that real fantasy, just look and feel to it. So if you've read Monstrous, no doubt you'll be checking out this issue. If you haven't read Monstrous, check this out. Really good comic book. And with that, like I said, I'm in between seasons 3 and working on 4 right now. And but hopefully we'll get that up and running pretty soon. I like to have my bank filled in and ready to go. But till then, I'll be throwing out a few more classic episodes, a little quick listens to give you some reading recommendations and so forth. And like I said, until then, go out and enjoy yourself a good comic book. And among those, definitely check out Bone by Jeff Smith, because that is a true classic.